back to the Pantry Kitchen. I'm Catherine, and today we're making strawberry rhubarb pie. We're going to use my pie dough recipe that I already have on the channel. So if you haven't seen it yet, go ahead and go over to that video, watch it, make it, and then we can come over to this one and then we're ready to go. So we're going to use that, and we're going to make a nice summer strawberry rhubarb. Like I said, I'm using fresh local rhubarb for this pie, so it's going to be so delicious. I've got fresh and frozen combined, so it doesn't really matter. If you've got all frozen, go ahead and use that. If you've got all fresh, go ahead and use that. So let's go through the ingredients so we can get started. 4 cups of fresh or frozen rhubarb, 1 cup of sliced fresh or frozen strawberries, 2 tablespoons of oats, 2 tablespoons of heavy cream, 2 eggs, 1/3 cup of flour, and 1 tablespoon of cornstarch. I've got 2 pie crusts for a 9-inch pie dish, and 1 1/3 cup of granulated sugar. All right, so we're using my grandma's recipe today. So if you have a grandma's recipe, you know that they're kind of all over the place and they know how to do it, but they don't really give you good instructions. So that's kind of what I'm going off here today. So I'm kind of, I've done a peach strawberry rhubarb pie before, but today I'm going to go off my grandma's classic strawberry rhubarb pie. I do have a couple peaches, so we'll get into that later. I might throw them in, I might not. So let's just get started. So I'm going to do my flour and cornstarch in the bowl. And then I'm going to add in my sugar. And this is kind of making like a bit of a custard in a sense. That's what I'm getting from it anyways, for the pie, for the fruit. So I've got all that, so I'm just going to give that a bit of a whisk. And then we're going to crack in our eggs. And she has milk, but I only have 1% right now, so I'm just going to use heavy cream just to bump up the fat content. If you have whole milk, you go ahead and use that, but I don't want to use the 1% in here. So we're going to whisk in the eggs with the sugar and the flour mixture. And then I'm going to drizzle in my heavy cream. And she doesn't have oats written down, but because I'm using fresh and frozen fruit, I'm just worried that it might be a little bit too juicy when it goes into the oven. So I'm just going to sprinkle the oats at the bottom of the pie crust just to catch any extra liquid so it's not super liquidy. All right, so we've got this. And we're making this first and then we'll roll out our dough so that this has a chance to sit. So we got that together. And we're going to dump in all the fruit. Like I said, I might add the peaches. I only have 2, but I added a little bit extra fruit in here, so there should be enough for the whole pie. All right, we're just going to stir that together. And the reason we've got the flour and the cornstarch is because this is a fruit pie, there's going to be a lot of natural juices that come out, and we don't want a super liquidy pie, so that will help thicken the juices into more of a sauce, and it'll set it, and then once it comes out, you won't be able to eat it right away. You'll have to practice some patience, but it will be oh so delicious. All right, so there's our filling. So we got that. All right, so now we're going to roll out our dough. So I've got 2 pie crusts here. Get that out of the way. And I'm going to use just a little bit of bench flour. So that's just going to make it so that the dough doesn't stick. And it's simply just flour on the side to help this from sticking. A little bit on the rolling pin. And this is already, I pre-made this, so go ahead and do that if you're making any pie. It's a lot faster than you already have the dough done. And this was just chilling in the fridge, so I took it out about 20 minutes just so it's easier to roll out and get in the pie dish. And I will pop, because this is all butter crust, I will pop this back in the freezer for maybe 5-10 minutes before I actually put it in the oven, just for the butter to get cold again, so then when it goes in a hot oven, it will expand and create steam, and that will get you those really nice flaky layers. and it's going to go in a 400-degree oven. We're going to start it there for 20 minutes, and then we're going to bring it back down to about 375, 350 if your oven runs really hot, for the next probably 40-ish minutes until it's nice and golden brown and all finished. So I'm just going to continue rolling this out until it's big enough for my 9-inch pie dish, and then I'll show you how to crimp the edges. So I've got it in my pie dish here. If you don't want to make your own, go ahead and just get store-bought. It's just as good, and if you're in a pinch, it works perfect. So I've got the bottom crust all, you want it just as big. It doesn't need to be over the edges because we're not doing a crumble, we're not doing no crust, we're doing a double crust. So all of this is going to be hidden, and you don't need to flute your edges with the bottom. You just need it long enough on the top. So I'm going to sprinkle a little flour here, and the oats just on the bottom. Might not even use this much, I just want like a thin layer. Okay. Alright, and I'm just going to add a little extra flour. It's a little too liquidy. And just judge by how much fruit you have. If it's letting out a lot of liquid, you want a little bit, but if it's letting out a lot, just add a little bit more flour. All right, and then in the pie dish it goes. You want to make sure you get all that good stuff. So this is all the way to the top, so I'm not going to add the peaches that I was talking about. If I had a little bit more, then I would have subbed some of this and made it a strawberry peach rhubarb, but we're not going to do that. All right, I'm going to sprinkle just a little more flour on the top. Okay, and then we're going to roll out our other crust, and then we'll put it right on top. Okay, so now that we've got this all fluted around the edges, this one is a bit bigger, we're going to go ahead and we're going to tuck this under the bottom crust, kind of connecting them. And to me, a pie shouldn't be perfect. So if you're getting a perfect pie, like this is something they have been making for years and years and years. And to me, a pie is just rustic and beautiful the way it is. And it's so funny because I make cakes, a lot of custom cakes for people. And I do like cake, but I'm not really a cake person. If there's cake or pie, I'm pie all the way. Especially when we go into pumpkin and fall season, like pumpkin, apple. I'm all about the pie. Okay, so now that we got our beautiful pie like this, I'm going to show you how to crimp. So come in closer and I'll show you. You're going to take your index and your thumb of your left hand, or if you're a lefty, I'm a righty, so this is how I do it. I pinch and I use the thumb of my right hand to go right in between. And I push down pretty firmly to keep that crimp. And there's a whole bunch of different crimps that you can do. This is just the one that I learned, and I feel like it gives a really pretty edge. Just keep pinching. And the pie dough is pretty forgiving, so go ahead and if you have to fix it, you can fix it, but this should work out pretty good. If you get the spacing right and your thumb is the right size, you'll get a perfect number around, and you should lined up right away. So I'm just gonna kind of pull those off the edges there. And again, this will help set this once we put it in the freezer. So we're gonna just pop it in there for maybe 5-10 minutes before we go. I'm gonna put a couple slits in here to let the steam escape. I'll just do like a fun little 6. It doesn't have to be perfect, maybe like a little sun kind of pattern. Like I said, this will just help the, let's do one here. Air escape. You can do whatever you want. If you wanted something really fancy before you put your pie dough on, take a little cookie cutter and then you can cut it out like that. So we're gonna pop this in the freezer. When we get back, before we put it in the oven, we're gonna do an egg wash and we're gonna sprinkle it with raw sugar. So now it's time to bake the pie. So what we're going to do is brush 1 egg. I just beat it and I put it in the container that I had the heavy cream in. There's a little bit of cream left over, which is all right. We're just going to brush the whole pie crust. This will, 1, help promote browning, so you'll get an even golden brown, and 2, it will help the sugar stick to the top of the pie. So just take your time and brush gently. All right, now that that is done, sprinkling with a little bit of raw sugar. This will just give a really pretty top, and it'll give that nice little crunch. And then what we're gonna do is pop it in a 400-degree oven for 20 minutes. So I'm gonna pop this in the oven and then we'll see you in about an hour. So we're gonna cut this. You want to let it rest and set completely and cool, probably a good at least 2 to 4 hours, honestly, after you bake it. I know, crazy. How can you wait that long? Totally make it the night before if you want to. Please leave me a comment down below. Leave me a comment on what you want to see in the future. Be sure to like this video, subscribe so you never miss a new video. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye. Okay. All right, so don't smile at me.